Hello everyone. Today we'll be doing a topic on calories in, calories out, which will probably be one of the most important videos I ever do. Reason being is because it's going to be the foundations for the diet that I call, that is known as, if it fits your macros, flexible dieting, which is something I follow. Now, to start this off, some science for you science motherfuckers. Thermodynamics. The first and second law. First law states that energy can be changed from one form to another, but it cannot be created or destroyed. The total amount of energy and matter in the universe remains constant, merely changing from one form to another. So basically, calories in, calories out in an enclosed energy system. The human body is an enclosed energy system. The second law of thermodynamics states that in all energy exchanges, portions of energy will be lost as heat, and this relates to the thermic effect of food. So when you eat food, in order to extract the energy from the food, small portions of the energy will be lost and as heat. So those two things will be the basis of calories in, calories out. So you cannot eat a certain amount of calories and have then have a portion of those calories just disappear into thin air, because we are enclosed energy systems and we abide by the first and second laws. Simple. Now, how do we get food? By eating, obviously. So, what do we eat? We eat protein, carbs, fat, and alcohol. These things have energy. So, protein has 4 calories a gram, carbs 4 calories a gram, fat 9 calories a gram, and alcohol 7 calories a gram. It's pretty obvious. So, obviously, in a day, we'll eat a certain number. 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 calories from eating foods that contain, again, protein, fat, carbs, and alcohol. Simple. Now, where does the energy go? Well, there's energy stores. Carbohydrates have liver. It's about 70 grams, something like that. To my knowledge, you can store of glycogen. Muscle glycogen, which is anywhere from, say, 600 to 900 grams of glycogen. And a small amount of that also in blood glucose. So fat is triglycerols in adipose tissue, and they're pretty much unlimited stores. And then you have protein, which is, again, for a short period of time you can actually store amino acids in blood plasma and as skeletal muscle. So the skeletal muscle is a bit iffy. It's not exactly a protein source that you're coming out of, but we all know that you can chew up muscle tissue and use that as energy. And just a note, alcohol has no stores and is 100% metabolized by the body. Now, for something very important, which I'll go into a little bit more detail, is calories out. So how do we use energy? Well, first up, basal metabolic rate. So people are familiar with this. It's breathing, heart pumping blood, your kidneys, regulation of the human body. So all our organ functions and things like that. Then we have the thermic effect of exercise. So it's pretty much our daily activity levels. So what we do on a daily basis. So walking, sitting, standing, typing, driving, etc. It's all voluntary movement though. So things that we have control over. Then you have NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So basically this is all our involuntary movement. So fidgeting, twitching, some people bump their knees up and down, things like that. So these small rigid movements that people do without realizing actually do use portions of energy. Then you have thermic effect of food. So again, small portions of energy are used when extracting the calories from the protein, fat, and carbs. A lot of people use the argument that you should have more protein because it's got a higher thermic effect of food. It does, but it's a fuck all difference. It's not really that important. It's not something that we should worry about. So when you combine all these numbers together, you get something called total daily energy expenditure, and that's going to be a specific number of how much calories we're using that day, say example. Now, what influences the total daily energy expenditure? So what is going to influence and differentiate from each person how much energy we use? So first thing, body weight. So the heavier you are, it's quite obvious, scale-wise, it makes sense that we're going to use more energy. Basal metabolic rate. Well, there's more blood being pumped through the heart. There's more oxygen needed to be, taken up, etc. All these things are going to increase basal metabolic rate due to weight, just in terms of proportions. Then you have thermic effect of exercise. Well, again, if you're 100 kilos versus 50 kilos, well, obviously you need more energy to move 100 kilos up and down some stairs, so you're going to have a larger thermic effect of exercise. And again, similar to non-exercise activity thermogenesis, the twitching, etc., the bigger you are, you're going to use more energy doing so. Thermic effect of food, not really. Then you have body composition. So someone that's 100 kilos, 8% body fat, is going to have more muscle. Muscle is more metabolically active than fat. So we need to so our basal metabolic rate and our homeostasis of that muscle is going to be larger. So body composition. Then you have everyone's activity level. So someone that's sedentary, sitting on their couch all day or has a desk job, is not going to use as much energy as someone that's a tradie, for example. Then you have genetics, and what I mean by genetics is some people naturally have a higher, thyroid hormone level. So basically their basal metabolic rate and their and even to some degree the NEAT is going to be a lot higher than those with a naturally lower thyroid function. So another difference in genetics is the process in which we extract energy from molecules such as glucose, for example. And what I mean by that is when glucose has to go through glycolysis, the Krebs cycle and electron transport chain, the maximum yield of ATP, which is energy, is 38 units. Now, that isn't always the case. So depending on people's genetics, some people are actually really efficient, so they'll get the total 38, and some people are less efficient and they won't get 38, so they might get 20, for example. So that also relates to someone being able to eat 5,000 calories but really only getting 3,000 calories worth of energy versus someone that's very metabolically efficient, which gets the total 38 ATP out of each glucose. So that's also another factor in genetics. Then we have sleep. So someone that sleeps 10 hours a day versus someone that sleeps 5 hours a day, well, that's a 5-hour sleep window difference. So in those 5 hours, that person is going to spend more time with thermic effect of exercise, aren't they? Because they're going to be more physically active. They have 5 hours extra. So that's quite obvious. Then you have a big one, which is a little bit confusing, drugs. So there are drugs, for example, that we can take, T3, clenbuterol, these sort of things, that increase basal metabolic rate, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So when you're taking the clen and your hands are shaking like that, it's using more energy. Then you have the thermic effect of exercise as well. You're more manic and you're more active and you have energy, so you want to move around more. So without you realizing, you're using more energy. And all drugs are going to basically still affect any of these four things. So basically the point of this is that it does not matter who you are or what your situation is, you still have to abide by the laws of physics, thermodynamics, laws 1 and 2. In turn, calories in, calories out. I also want to note that every single diet that you will see on the internet, or any diet that anyone's going to give you, the keto diet, low carb, low protein, high fat, whatever the fuck it is, it's either going to directly or indirectly affect calories in or calories out. If you're on a keto diet, paleo diet, whatever the fuck it is, and you're cutting out a whole array of foods and even a whole macronutrient, carbohydrates, well, it's very obvious that you're not consuming as much food. So it's pretty obvious that you're going to be losing weight. It's not because there's magic in eating low carbs. It's because your energy balance is pushed in the direction so that you will lose weight. So how do we become in control of this? Well, firstly, you have to find your maintenance calories. So I've linked in the description a calculator that everyone can use. Use it, spit out a number. The number is not too important at this point. If it's off by 200 calories or so, it's not going to matter too much in the long run. You'll have to figure it out the hard way for the first time. So say it's 2,500 calories and you're not losing weight and you're not putting on weight, well then you've hit it, bingo. If you're putting on weight, well then you know it's a bit less than 2,500 calories, so just reduce it. And that's your caloric maintenance. You'll figure it out eventually by trial and error. Weight gain. So how do we put on weight? Well, if our caloric maintenance is 2,500 calories and we eat 3,000 calories a day, we're in a caloric surplus. Our energy balance is pushed in a surplus. So naturally, you're going to put on weight. 500 calories has to go somewhere. Where's it going to go? In the calorie stores that I described earlier. Weight loss. If you're eating 2,000 calories and your maintenance is 2,500 calories, the energy has to come from somewhere. We can't burn energy from thin air. It's not fucking magic. It's physics. The energy is going to come from somewhere. Where? From the calorie stores that I described earlier. So that's all you have to do. Anytime you're losing weight, you're in a deficit. Anytime you're putting on weight, you're in a caloric surplus. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to believe it or not, it's physics. So where are the calories being stored and where are they being oxidized from? This is something determined by calorie partitioning, known as the P ratio. This will be the topic of my next video that you guys need to check out. So if you did like this video, please like it, share it, subscribe, whatever you have to do. Thanks guys.